Stop recording. Button. Stop recording. Button.
Well, it's been an interesting 24 hours. The WHO declared this virus a pandemic yesterday. And I'm seeing some changes in this nation. I've seen it for quite some time. We are becoming a survival of the fittest type world. I'm seeing it in a lot of things I see on social media and hear on the news. This video is mainly about that and the attitude I've seen in people. I hear it at least once a day, especially in the attitude of those that are saying this is just a flu. It won't affect us healthy people. Well, maybe it won't. I hear it only affects those that are elderly and those with medically compromised immune systems. It's no big deal. Well, maybe it isn't to you. It is to people like me. My mom, who just finished a round of chemotherapy. My dad, who just got diagnosed with cancer. It is to the thousands of parents who have children with medical situations that are affected because they have autoimmune disorders. It is to those who are taking care of siblings whom they love, and those siblings are their lives. It is to the innocent brother who is taking care of a little sister, or a big brother, or vice versa, who got AIDS back in the 80s or 90s due to a blood transfusion. It is to the rape victim who got AIDS because she was raped and it wasn't her fault, or any other disease. It is to the mother who has had breast cancer and has been through chemo and has 2 to 4 children to care for. Need I go on? Maybe not. Does it matter if I go on? Or are we too calloused as a nation to care? I hear all these people that have been panic buying. And it's okay to stock up for your family. That's a good thing. But when you see these people buying 40 and 50 things of hand sanitizer so that I can't have any to clean up my open wound, to deal with staph infection at times when I'm in a hurry, or wash my hands when I'm out in public because I have no one to direct me to a restroom. Yeah, soap and water's great, and I use it most of the time. But when I'm out and about and I have nobody to help me to a bathroom because I can't get a hold of anyone without an interpreter because of my hearing problem, and due to my blindness, I can't find it on my own. So what if I end up getting the virus because of that, and I spread it to dozens of other people? I'm not the only one. I'm one of thousands that may not be able to get the hand sanitizer because of people that have hoarded. And hand sanitizer is just one thing. There is an attitude of caring for me in mind and not loving my neighbor that has gone to the extreme in this day and age. I'm not talking about socialism, folks. I'm talking about the good attitude of loving my neighbor. See, I'm not talking about the government doing it for you. We have lost this in America. We have actually lost this attitude in the world. We are not the same country we used to be. Not the same country that I grew up in. You see, we have lost the trust for one another too. No, I'm not saying trust everybody. I'm not. But I am saying we have lost that love and concern one for another. I don't think the government should take from everybody to give to generally everybody. But I am saying that we need to get back down to the brass tacks of loving our neighbors. We need to get back down to where we used to be, caring for one another. I'm not saying go overboard per se, but I am seeing an attitude of such stinginess among people today, and an attitude of, so what? It's just going to affect the elderly and the immune compromised. It's no big deal, but it will become a big deal on the day you, as a woman, give birth to the baby that you've been long expecting, and he or she is diagnosed with a medical disorder, in which means the child has an immune deficiency disorder or a medical challenge. On the day you or your mother or your brother or your sister is diagnosed with cancer, on the day you get raped and end up with a sexual transmitted disease like HIV or syphilis that is untreated because you don't have the money for the antibiotic, or on the day you are sitting by your sister, your mother, or father when they take that chemo and it depletes their immune system. You see, we are a country that is not an island unto ourselves. We are in this together. We are humankind, and we are not an island unto ourselves as a people. What affects me affects you, and what affects you affects me. And you think it won't affect you? But what if all the hospital beds are full? And your 2-year-old falls and busts his or her head open, and you can't get them seen in the emergency room because the hospital is crowded with a lot of people that are sick with COVID-19. What if, because the world is so stressed out and your teenager's best friend is sick with COVID-19 and is dying because they have an autoimmune deficiency, and your teenager is so devastated that they attempt suicide and she cannot get treated at the ER for her attempted overdose because the ER is overcrowded? You see, what affects me affects you, and what affects you affects me. We are not an island unto ourselves. It is time for us as a country to unite. It is time for us to realize that we are all creatures made in God's image. Do we scatter? Do we fight amongst one another? Do we only look out for ourselves? And do we say it doesn't matter, that it just affects the immune deficient and the elderly? Have we lost total respect for our elderly when they could teach us things? You see, if we listened, our grandparents could tell us how they stuck together and got through the Spanish flu era. We might learn something. But no, we want to walk this out on our own, and we want to scatter, and we want to say that things just will work out if we figure it out on our own. We're like some teenager who thinks we can do our own thing until we learn that, wait, if we step out on our own without a job or the knowledge of how to make our own money, whoops, we have to make a living and we have to pay bills, and we don't really know how it's done. We have to be taught technical skills or occupations, or we have to go to college and be taught something. We can't just step out on our own as a 17 or 18-year-old kid and not know anything. It's the same thing here, folks. Our elderly can teach us things, but we would rather say it doesn't matter and who cares if they die off. I mean, it's no big deal. Look at the attitude this country has as a younger generation. Have we come to be so calloused? My goodness, I don't like what I'm seeing here. I just don't. Everybody doesn't have this attitude, but a lot of people do. I hear it in people's voices. I don't see the faces when they talk, but there's an undertone, and I don't like it. I am nobody's judge. But if things don't get better soon, there's going to be a lot of trouble. And you healthy people, when you survive this thing, with your it doesn't matter if it just affects the elderly and the immune compromised, you're going to realize that there were things the immune compromised taught us. They taught us love and patience. And there was a lot our elderly taught us. See, with the loss of respect that you have for your elderly, if you just let them die off with this so-called flu, when you come out on the other side of this, you're going to realize that you're nothing but some old computer that the data has no longer been retained. Some tingling brass cymbal that is no longer musical. You're going to realize that you have lost something valuable. Something like a silver dollar. A silver dollar that was worth cashing in, that dated back to the 1850s. This is my 2 cents. Maybe it'll be worth something someday if I don't survive this so-called flu. This virus that is 10 times worse than the flu.
Remind everybody.
Camera choose. Stop recording button.